All right, guys, so we're in the E46 right now. We're about to go test it and see exactly. Basically, we want to see if we can tell the difference before the intake and after the M50 intake swap. So we're gonna go do some pulls real quick and kind of see how the car feels, and then maybe we can use the footage to like do a time for maybe like 20 to 60 or 20 to 80 or something like that. All right, 20, 25 right here. Ready? Yep. What's up, guys? We got the beater car, the E46 out here, and today we're going to be installing a Pullman Autosports M50 intake manifold conversion kit. Pullman Autosports was kind enough to send us a kit. We actually run their DSSR rod and their secondary air pump delete plate. In this video, we're going to be removing the M54 B30 factory intake manifold with the disavow and installing the Pullman Autosports M50 intake kit. Let's take a look at the parts that are included when you get the kit. All right, so right here we just have a factory M50 manifold. I got this at the salvage. It's like 50 bucks or something, so look out for one of these. You can get them really cheap. They're supposed to be good for like 20-25 horsepower on these cars, which, as you know, is a lot when this thing makes 200. So these are some parts that he recommends to order to complete the conversion, and I will put the part numbers for all of this in the description below. Here we have the throttle body adapter plate. So this allows us to run the factory M54 electronic throttle body. This will bolt on the side of the M50 intake. New bolts, hardware, and then a little tap. And then the plugs. And these we will be installing in the cylinder head, actually. So this is like the scariest part of the job. Everything else should be super simple, but we'll walk you guys through that. Another secondary air pump delete plate. And then these are the tabs to install your factory fuel rail. I do have a Deechworks fuel rail, so we're going to try to install that if we can. If not, we'll show you guys how to install the factory one with the supplied tabs. And right here, this is for our idle air control valve. This is a cool little bracket that he makes and designs. So this guy bolts underneath the M50 intake, and that's going to hold our idle air control valve pretty solid, secure under the intake manifold. All right, so first things first, I'm going to be removing this cold air intake and our intake charge pipe here, or intake inlet pipe, I guess you'd say. This is going to be a little different for you guys if you're running a factory air box, which is super simple, just a couple clips and a hose clamp. So I'm going to get this off, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Got to get this elusive washer that always tries to run away. This is the first time I've removed that since I installed it. Okay, so I got the intake off. Now I'm about to pull the intake manifold off. This thing sucks to take off, by the way. There are a ton of screws, a ton of brackets, a ton of bolts, a ton of things to take off. So first I took my throttle body off, took the disavow off, got all that stuff out so I could gain access to this. This harness is attached by two 10 millimeters, or three actually, 1, 2, 3, and this guy goes on the back of the throttle body. And there is one big, like 19 millimeter bolt in the back. You want to make sure you get that guy off, otherwise the intake's not going to come off. You got your purge valve, disconnect that, disconnect your idle air control valve, obviously pull the intake pipes off, and there are a couple vacuum lines on the back that you got to take out as well. So I got all that stuff off, and then all of the intake manifold mounting bolts are 11 millimeters. Take all those guys off as well, and I think we're ready to pull it off. So I know that's our starter cable, our brake booster hose. Get this guy out. I disconnected the CVC system stuff, so that should be good. Get this guy, and then I think we're good. Bam! Yeah, this intake has way too much going on. We're getting rid of that. I'm not sure what all we have to swap. I know we got to keep our purge valve, idle air control valve. Keep this for our brake booster. Be my guess. Our check valve. We're not going to keep this anymore. And then on the back of the intake manifold, you'll have a bunch of vacuum lines back here. I deleted mine whenever I did this last time. They go to like the exhaust flap. Some other stuff as well. Can't remember. And then the M50 intake, equal length runners, single throttle body up front. Got our one brake booster hose here. And then if we flip it over, this will be for our idle air control valve. This is our IET intake air temperature sensor. And I'm not sure where this port goes. I'll have to look into that. It might go to this one. Oh no, that goes to our fuel pressure regulator. I'm not sure where all of this goes just yet, but we will figure that out and tell you where we put it. Okay, so we got our plate installed. It just goes in the factory location, and this allows us to run our M54 electronic throttle body. So I installed a little bit of Loctite, screwed this guy on. Look at the machining in here. Look how close this fits. Like, it's literally perfect fit to the intake bore ID of the intake. So this is all Loctited up. We're gonna go ahead and install this, and then we will move on to drilling the intake manifold, or the head. All right guys, so we got the intake pretty much put together. We haven't got it on the car yet, but I talked to our tuner, Chaos Calibrations, and the creator of the kit, Pullman Autosports, and we have decided to run the crankcase ventilation system open to atmosphere. So what that means is we're not going to be running the factory CVC system anymore, so we're going to plug off.
Isn't it PCV?
No, BMW calls it CVC. Crankcase ventilation something. It's weird. I'm pretty sure it's CVC, not PCV. So that means we're going to cap this guy off on the dipstick tube, and then we're also deleting the purge valve entirely. Our tuner, Chaos Calibrations, is going to get rid of all that. And then we're really only going to have one vacuum port on the whole system, and that's going to be for the fuel pressure regulator. So I just ran to O'Reilly's, picked up some universal vacuum caps, and then, yeah.
A bunch of them.
Yeah, a bunch of them. I'm going to find the one that fits the best, and we're going to get this stuff capped off. Probably going to super glue these on as well.
What do we got right there, Jack? Coming out a little template.
Yes, sir. This is fresh out of our CAD design software. So we just made this off the M50 intake manifold, and this is so we can gasket match the head on the M54 B30. That way we don't have any restrictions or anything weird. A lot of people say you don't have to do it on these swaps, but I mean, if we can do it and, you know, pick up a couple of horsepower, everything's gonna count, especially with how little these cars have. So that's why I'm doing it. So what we did was we just took a piece of painter's tape and put it on the M50 intake, and then we kind of just drug like a razor blade around it, almost like you were putting grip tape on a skateboard. So me and Alex knocked that out, lined it up, used the razor blade to create the ID bore, and then I took a socket and actually smacked the holes for the intake bolts. So now that this is made, let's sit this on the manifold and kind of see how close it is. What's the deal here?
Flip it the other way. No, the other way. Yeah, no. What's the deal? There he goes.
Is that my dad?
Oh,
I hope. Dang, that's almost perfect, huh?
pretty good. We'll call it good.
Yep. Okay, so we cranked the engine over till cylinder 1, both valves are closed. We gasket matched it via our template. We got our markings and everything on the top of the cylinder head right now. So our valve is closed, and then we taped off the rest of the intake ports on the cylinder head. We don't want to get any metal shavings inside of the engine. So yeah, we got everything plugged off. We don't want any metal shavings in the engine. I got this tool here, rotary bit. So we're gonna start slowly gasket matching the cylinder head. So yeah, I'm gonna get started and we'll see how it goes. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Take it slow.
All right, guys, so we got the intake ports ported, gasket matched for the M50. Not too bad, not too difficult, but we were able to get it finished, and we got the plugs threaded and installed. I just kind of wanted to show you how we went about it. We had everything taped off. We blew everything out super clean. I have a shop vac over here as well to make sure we didn't have any metal shavings getting down into the cylinder bores. I put a socket on the crank bolt. We turned it over every time to make sure the valves were closed on the particular cylinder we were working on. And then I gasket matched the intake runners of the head, and then we drilled and tapped the holes in the head right here for our plugs. And whenever you guys get the Pullman Autosports plug kit, it will come with this really handy little tap here. So run you some tap oil on there, tap it as straight as you can, clean out the threads with brake clean, blow them out, make sure you don't have any metal debris still in the threads, and then apply some thread sealant to your new plugs, screw those all the way down. If you don't, you will have a large vacuum leak and it's gonna suck. So everything you need is supplied in the Pullman Autosports kit. Super simple. It's kind of tedious, but it's something that you definitely have to do. So make sure you do that and take your time. You do not want to get any metal in the engine. So we're pretty much wrapped up with the cylinder head right now. I'm just going to tidy up some things, move some stuff around, make sure we don't have any metal debris laying around to fall in the engine. And then yeah, we can set the M50 intake manifold on and go from there. Did I pull the bottom one out or the top?
Bottom. On both sides. So, gotta take 2 of these studs out. It's that bad boy right there. Here the nuts are on, and the same thing on the other end. So in between cylinder 2 and 3, and 4 and 5.
I didn't know that.
Can't miss them.
Definitely can't if your intake doesn't bolt on. I love how none of the YouTube videos I watched talked about this. That's why here at J Davis Racing, we give you the content nobody else is willing to tell you. That's why we're the freaking best.
Jack doesn't know what he's talking about.
Obviously not. I just tried to install it with one too many holes. Give me my nut back. Custom. Same thing with the other one?
Yeah.
So we're just using the stock nuts here, just to double nut it so we don't damage our studs. One on top of the other.
Double nutting.
Double nuttage on the intake manifold bolt.
You guys don't even have to go to OnlyFans to see the double nut.
For real. You get it right here.
For free. That's the kind of content we're willing to bring you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Double nutting.
Port matching. Gaping holes.
Yeah, we're widening some holes.
Custom.
All about that.
Okay, so we're just gonna sit the intake manifold on right now. I'm not exactly sure where everything needs to be or how we should route it, but this will be the first installment. Oh
Where's
crap, forgot, we gotta move the power steering reservoir.
Nice.
All right, we're gonna try again. So you guys are learning with us.
Try once, fail once.
That's right. Alright, what are we hitting in the back here? Definitely caught on a wiring harness or something back there.
I think you're kind of a stupid thing like that.
And something on the back. Dang, look at that! This is M50 intake manifold. So I'm trying to upload our tune from Chaos Calibrations right now. Okay, so we just got the tune uploaded. We just started it for the first time. I'm not 100% if this tune has the M50 or the M54 IAT sensor. So not 100% yet. I'm gonna see if I can read some live data with my scan tool here and see if it's reading correctly. I know the sensor scaling is a little bit different for the M50 and the M54 IAT sensor. So hopefully I can tell. I'm still waiting to hear back from our tuner at Chaos Calibrations. So as soon as we hear back from him, we can verify we do have the correct sensor scaling data in the ECU. That way we don't go out and mess something up. So that's what I'm checking on right now. This is revision 1, the M50 setup.
That stuff more responsive. What do you think?
I think it was pulling.
Feels good?
I think it does. Alright, I'm gonna turn this light off.
Okay.
I can't really see it. Oh, she's a little quick. Quick off the rib. All right, guys, so we're kind of just going to see what we can make. So the factory M54 valve cover uses these quick lock fittings, these O-ring based quick lock factory BMW fittings. So we're going to try to convert that to our Dash 10 AN line. I think Raleigh Road and a couple other companies, Scene Legit Garage, they do make adapters. We just don't have any at the moment, and we're trying to make an event this weekend. So we are going to do what we can to adapt BMW quick disconnect fittings to our Dash 10 AN line from Max Speeding Rods. And then we're going to mount the catch can. So yeah, right now, this is our issue. This is Dash 10 AN, and then this is the line that comes off the valve cover. Looks like 7/8 or something maybe. Obviously it does not fit. So I did some research and I found that we can get a heater core hose adapter. So we're gonna run down to the store, see what we can find. We're gonna use the factory elbow off the valve cover and then see what we can convert this to convert it to AN. Alright guys, so we got the intake manifold installed, we got the catch can installed. Again, this is the Max Speeding Rods vented to atmosphere catch can. I did find an adapter at O'Reilly's, and I will link the description, or I will link the part number in the description, or add a link to the O'Reilly's website. It's I think it's a 5/8 to 3/4 adapter. So we just used that on the factory line, and then after that, we were able to run it under the intake manifold over here to our catch can, and we just put this in the extra cubby here. Simple setup. We will add a grommet and whatnot to it later, but for now, that's probably going to be okay. We got the intake manifold pretty much all sorted out, and we deleted 99% of our vacuum lines. So everything is super simple now. We don't have to worry about any vacuum leaks like you do with the M54 intake. Our tuner, again, Chaos Calibrations, is tuning out everything for us, so we shouldn't have to worry about any check engine lights or anything like that for the purge valve being missing. One thing you do need to do with this intake manifold installation is you have to relocate your power steering reservoir. So Alex, the guy behind the camera here, made us this little adapter plate, and I was talking to the owner of Pullman Autosports, and he's trying to develop a offset adapter for that. So let's get a close look at this, Alex. So anybody that's installing their intake kind of knows what they have to do. Right here, the reservoir actually hits the front of the M50 manifold, so you just got to build a little bracket. You could literally use a small steel plate and 2 holes. I was able to use the factory brake booster hose, and I just cut it in a good position, rotated it down behind the intake manifold, or behind the throttle body, and then yeah, just use a simple clamp. I was able to reuse my aftermarket cold air intake, which was super nice. We just cut the center pipe down a little bit to fit. The MAF, I had to rotate it a little bit. You never want to have them upside down, but I was able to rotate it almost sideways so we could reach the connector. Later on, when we have more time, it's probably a good idea to pull this little electrical box apart, loom the harness. That way you can extend what you need to extend and you'll have a little bit more room. But for now, I mean, this is going to get us to the event. It's going to work. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll try to answer them. I'm going to try to add as many part numbers as I can as well, just to make it super simple for you guys. Because when we did it, I had a bunch of questions and a bunch of things I couldn't figure out. But now that we talked to a bunch of people and did it ourselves, you know, we have a pretty good understanding of it. So look in the description below for the links. And yeah, thanks again, Pullman Autosports, for giving us this intake to test out. Excited to hit the track.